Hello, everybody. It's me, the Blu-ray Bodhisattva, aka Mario, and I am out here today because for a little over a whole year now, I have just been having in my mind that I need to tell this story, that I need to document a few things and tell this story, not really for the whole world or anything, but because I'm gonna share it with the internet and the world, but I'm in a process, I've been in a process for years of healing and remembering certain darker, shadowy happenings in my life. And so, these stories, these videos that I make are, they help me go through the ropes. They help me go through the necessary process of putting together many, many, many fragmented pieces. So, let me show you where I am today. Okay. I forgot the exact name of this street, but here on this street and down over to the next street to the down the left begins a story. So this story takes place in 2006. I was about 15, 16 years old. At that time, I was a year or 2 years into using meth, smoking crystal meth. I started using before I was 15, 14 years old, running the streets with, street kids, punk kids, gangbangers of different ages and different levels of intensity, But for the most part, I was just chilling, because I was usually the youngest of the group, and my nickname back then was Shy Boy. Eventually became Sideshow Bob, because I had the hair like him and big ass fucking feet. I wore big ass military boots up to here, every day in California. Even if it was like 110 degrees, you'd see me wearing all black. Anyways, so down the street, I ditch school. I take the bus all the way down to the other end of town to meet with my big homies. We meet with we meet up down the street over here, and then we cross paths with two new homies that we hadn't met before. And at first it was one of those things where, we were all mad dogging one another. But then once we started actually speaking, we found that we actually have a lot in common, which is we're just out here trying to, score some bitches and, get high and drunk for the day. Typical minor street kid stuff, right? So we come up with a plan for the day. We're like, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do for the day, and it's gonna be a great motherfucking day out here in the hood. And so we proceed to walk, and we come down around this corner, and we start walking down this street. And it was right when we got around this point here, where from down the road on the other end, which there just so happened to also be a freeway exit, and there's a small little road back there. These two cars came speeding in, and they just, perfectly stopped right there across the street, parking right here. Excuse me, I farted. They park right there, and there's four of us guys. There were five, but one of them found, his you know, the girl he was gonna hook up with before any of us found a girl to hook up with. So he fled the scene before we even started walking down this way. He's like, I got me some tail. I'll catch up with you guys later. So by the time we're walking here, there's 4 of us, 2 new homies, myself, and the big homie Izzy, who was like, you know, my punk rock street kid Muslim brother. 4 of us are standing right here witnessing a scene where these 2 cars just right there. Now I'm going to reference them. Guy number 1, guy number 2. Guy number 1 was the first car that cut off guy number 2, and they stopped right here. So guy number 1 was this big, buff, you know, and this was so long ago, and for quite a few years, I even thought that this was a dream or that I made it up, because it was such a crazy story. It wasn't until like 10 years later at a random party, I ran into my big homie Izzy, and I was like, bro, I had this memory and I don't even know if it's real. And he's like, the day at that whole thing, and he goes, I'm like, yeah. He's like, bro, that's my number 1 party story. I tell that story all the time. So I'm like, so it really did happen, because I hadn't seen Izzy after the whole incident, and we're gonna get into it. I hadn't seen Izzy until after the whole incident. And there's this guy who just keeps like staring at me down over there, and he's like acting like he's on the phone or something. So this really did happen. So guy number 1, big buff guy, bald head, wearing glasses, big bald buff white guy, comes out the car, and he's yelling at guy number 2 in his car, saying shit like, you know, it was all scripted. He's like, are you crazy? I can't let you drive home like this. You're drunk. I'm gonna drive you home. And it's like 10:30 in the morning. I just ditched school, you know. There's not a lot of drunk people out here at this hour. So the guy number 1 proceeds to dude is straight up just staring at me, you know. Now I'm waving at him. Yeah, hello, mind your business. He looks away. So guy number 1 pulls out guy number 2 out of the car, and guy number 2 is saying like, oh, but my keys are in the car, my cigarettes are in the car, and there's these 2 cars parked right here. And so guy number 1's dragging guy number 2 into his car. 4 of us young guys here who, you know, are young, criminally thrill-seeking, intense street kids out here in LA County are witnessing this, and we're seeing that the car being left behind is 1, the keys are in the ignition, and 2, the guy kept saying how his cigarettes are in there and he needs his cigarettes. And then 3, we can see in the back seat of the car being left behind that there are some cardboard boxes. Okay, so this is a total bait shit going on here. The 2 new homies, which were, you know, they were a little bit different than Izzy and I. You know, Izzy and I were more like metalhead, street kid, punk rocker, like grungy type shit. And the other homies were, you know, more like gang banging. They were 2 like, you know, crib black dudes, and, you know, I don't even know them. I had not seen them since this incident. So they drive off. This car is right in front of us, and the 2 new homies are like, yo, cigarettes and a joyride. You guys should we just take this car and take it for a joyride and see what's in it? And Izzy and I are like, no, this is very unusual, very suspicious, because we spend all day, every day out on the streets. Like, we've never seen something like this happen. So the 2 dudes were, you know, nothing was going to stop them. They were going to go do what they were going to do. So they went, one of the homies went into the driver's seat, and the other homie went around the back seat on the passenger side, starting to go through those boxes. Yo, less than a minute of them being in that car, police cars from both ends, several police cars from both ends came, sirens ablazing, all directions, even cops on feet. I don't know where the fuck they came from. They were all hiding. They just came out, helicopter. The dude in the driver's seat didn't stand a chance. They grabbed him and fucking kicked his ass before he even knew what was happening. And they fucking grabbed him, threw him on the ground, started got him in cuff. The other homie who was rummaging through the boxes, hilarious. He's holding a cardboard box, running. And once he gets to a certain point, he's like, oh fuck, I'm completely surrounded. Throws the box, runs across the street. Okay. And so the whole time this is happening, Izzy and I are sitting right fucking here. Now this wall, I remembered it being taller, but I guess it was this tall. So the homie's running across the street, and he even runs back on the sidewalk, and he's running past us. And I remember seeing his face, big old bead of sweat. He's just like, ugh. And then he gets back on the road, and then the cop coming from this end just had, boom, clotheslined him with his fucking forearm straight to his neck. Bam! Big old young black dude body just slammed to the ground, and then all these cops come, elbowing his face, fucking kicking his ribs, and they cuff him. And these cop cars were coming in so fast that, and it's funny because I was sharing this story today with my uncle and my mom, who never knew I was living this kind of life, So one of the squad cars that were coming from this end was coming in so fast that he couldn't control his speed slowing down, and he lost control of his car, jumped the curve, and the car smashed right into the retaining wall right here. Boom. And I was sitting right here, and I remember bracing myself. I remember thinking, you know what? This cop car might smash a leg, and if it does, I'm gonna get paid, But it didn't. And then we saw that whole scene take place. And as they're all distracted over there, Izzy and I look at each other and we're like, we should go before they realize that we were all hanging out. And we leave. And what's also sad and funny, and I don't mean to kick those two dudes down, this motherfucking garbage truck. I don't mean to kick those two dudes down while they're, but before they went into the car, one of them was all like, hey, yo, will you hold on to my backpack real quick while we go handle the business in the car? So Izzy's got one of the homies' backpacks who has all his weed, and I forgot what else was in there. I think some alcohol, like a bottle, like a fifth of some, brandy. What kind of brandy? I don't know, but I hate fucking brandy. So we saw the whole thing. We walk away with their weed and their alcohol, and they're going to jail, and we never see them again. I kick it with Izzy. Later on that day, we link back up with the homie Damone. And the homie Damone, dude, wherever you are out there, I know you're fucking insane. And you've been through a lot, and my heart goes out to you, brother. But we run into the homie Demo, and we're like, yo, dude, you fucking missed it. We told him the whole story, and he's all like, oh, god damn it, why'd I have to go get laid? I would have rather seen that. And, you know, we just continue laughing and smoking and drinking the whole night and day. So that is just a story I wanted to share, and I really wanted to be back at the exact place where it happened, because it you know, back then was such a crazy time of my life. You guys, I was a kid, I was a teenager, you know, 15, 16 years old. I was smoking meth for years in my teenage years, when I should have been, you know, worrying about college or some fucking bullshit like that. But no, instead out here it was a different story for me. And you know, so after that, so I'm gonna make a part 2 to this, okay? So it was after that whole incident, where things kept on changing. Like, it was the last time I saw them. It was maybe like 6 months later, or maybe even a whole year later. I'm not so sure, you guys. There's a lot of time that I don't remember. I have a lot of missing time from those years, and I'm aware of that. So, you know, I have to be mindful of that too, and be very discerning of my own memories. And just, you know, yeah, sometimes I have to take my own memories with a grain of salt, and really what's the word? Percolate. I have to really percolate on these things and do soul retrieval work, go through dreams, go through, you know, I have a protocol before I actually try to pin anything down as true and facts or whatever, in, you know. So you know, because I am a natural detective out here, and this is what I'm doing, is I'm piecing back together things in my life. So anyways, what I'm getting at is, it had to have been the same year, where if you had seen a video I made a couple months ago where I went into a different story, and this was a story of when you know, these gangbangers had come after me, and they stole all my shit, and it was a group of them. They were gonna fucking beat the shit out of me. And if you haven't watched that video, go ahead and watch it. I'm not gonna retell the whole story, but it was after the incident in that last video where I was like, I need to get the fuck out of California, or else I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna get off these drugs. I'm gonna get deeper into the gang life, and it's not the optimal storyline for me to stay here. This is not the optimal timeline, I mean. So at that time, my father already was pretty well established in Oregon, moved to Oregon, and I slowly forgot over the years more and more and more of my whole life in California. Because when I went to Oregon, it was a total shift. It was the first time I was in a calmer, safe environment. No struggle with food, no struggle with rent and bills. Like, everything was normal for once in my life. And not only that, I was living surrounded by mountains, rivers, and forests, and all kinds of cool new hippie type friends. So, you know, shout out to Oregon and the nature out there, and the natives out there. Y'all have played a massive part in my healing, you know, massive part. So, shit, where was I going with this? I forgot. Oh, yes. So it wasn't until, I started coming back to California, and each time I'd come back and try to live back here, things just kept happening where I would just go back to Oregon. And, it took me time. It took time for me as an adult to realize how fucked up that story is. Because and as a child, I don't, as a young teenager who's growing up in the streets, you don't think of it this way because it's just another day in the life for you out here. It's the norm. But in reality, that whole thing took money, it took planning, it took monitoring, all applied for strategic targeting and location. Okay. How long was that? Were they just waiting to perform that entire bullshit scene in front of us? And who were they all really after? All of us? Them two? Me? I don't know, And this is where you got to be careful when you're doing detective work in your own life, especially if you're someone like me that's realized you've been a targeted individual since you were a child and inducted in, clandestine shadow government programs. Watch Stranger Things. Like what they do to them kids on Stranger Things, that is for real. It's real stuff. MK Ultra, Monarch, SSP, Montauk, Project Looking Glass. It's real stuff. So you gotta, you have to be honest with yourself and be real with yourself if you're in this on this level with yourself, realizing that you have also been, a particular individual that has been targeted, gang stalked, and all that kind of shit. So again, it's Gemini season. We just had the full moon, and so I'm a Gemini sun and moon, so please forgive me and how I'm all over the place. The sun is squaring Neptune right now, so I am between multiple realms of perception and deciphering and channeling right now. So I'm integrating my abilities. I'm integrating what it is that I can do. So yeah, as an adult looking back at this, it's like, wow, that's fucked up. That is really fucked up. Because had I been in that car, my timeline, the trajectory of my entire life would have been very, very, very different. The hidden hand, everybody, the hidden hand that has been in our lives, and for some of us, a lot more heavier than others. Okay, well, I'm super glad that I came out here and made this little video. This is going to be the beginning of a mini docu-series of just the life of Magnificent Mario and his incredible timeline jumping abilities. They can't fucking catch the kid, yo. They can't catch the kid out here. And you know what? The kid is always going to win. Kid is always going to win. Haha.